what's the problem? Everything is jazz and I'm Stockton.
They may not be somebody that you totally expected from day one.
Everybody in the middle, everybody down. That's life. What you gonna do? That's life. Baby, I'ma spend it all with you. Yeah, and I'm headed to the other side where the grass is always greener and
One. Alright, let's get it. So, what is your name and your relationship?
My name is Maria Pidier, and I'm Nicola's mom.
And I'm Nick.
And
This
who's
is my
Nick?
mom.
I'm Colin Hutchison.
Mia Hutchison, parents of Jarek Fernando.
Okay.
My name is Anna. This is my mother.
Hi, I'm Angie.
I'm her daughter. And we're gonna do a couple questions on my mom's immigration experience and where are you from?
I am from the Philippines.
England.
Part of Luzon, and it's the province of Pampanga. I was 25 when I came.
I was 8 years old.
24.
I was only 18.
Then why did you decide to immigrate here with your family? Or by yourself, or whomever?
Work.
Okay.
Better education.
It's for better life and opportunity. I know there's opportunity in the Philippines, but it's probably not as much as the opportunity that you will have here.
I actually was accompanied by my mom at the time to migrate here because I was a child and I wasn't getting married at the time. But I knew in the United States there was more acceptance of being a single parent and a young teenage mom.
What was the most difficult for you and your family when leaving your home country or the Philippines?
When leaving Philippines, the hardest part that I can think of is leaving my relatives, leaving friends, scared of what it's gonna be here, knowing the unknown, and it's a very scary thought in my mind, and telling myself on how to deal with that difficulty because it's very different from the Philippines. It's like night and day.
Hardest part for me was really not being with my siblings anymore and growing up in our ancestral home, which was, it's like a small community where I have my grandmother's house right across the street, and this just whole community. I'm just being lost in a place that I do not know anybody.
Yeah.
Family.
Like leaving them behind?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, friends and family.
What was the most difficult thing for you arriving in this country?
Arriving here, I never held a job. I was going to give birth to a child. I had some education, but I did not finish college. So it was a matter of being able to figure out what I need to do for myself and for my son, and also thinking about what I would need in life to survive.
And that's a very scary feeling, to migrate to a country where you don't really know a whole lot of people, you don't know the culture. It's so diverse, and again at the same time it's the language there, and I know for sure there's going to be a language barrier.
Well, what do you think was the hardest moment for you guys growing up, or just being here in general, regarding being an immigrant in the country?
Having to behave.
Behave how?
Not allowed to break the law.
Okay, and you guys could do that in England?
Of course you can.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, the threat of losing the green card
Oh, okay.
reigns
That makes more
supreme
sense.
in every decision you make.
That makes more sense.
It's kind of hard to get here. You need to have a supporting, well, first of all, someone has to sponsor you. Then that person who sponsor you should show a supporting documents that you will be able to be supported. And then at the same time, once that person secured that paper, then he has to file a lot of paperwork. Then at the same time, it needs to be processed in the Philippines. Then we need to get the interview. Then we need to wait for another few more years just to get here. So it's a long process. It's not an easy. There's no easy way out. You have to be patient. You need to wait, and you just have to make sure that you have all the right paperwork before you even go for your interview at the embassy. Otherwise, you'll just be wasting your time, and you have to start over again.
And I understand you went to college a little bit later in life.
I continued my college education, so I did have about 1.5 years of college in the Philippines. And then when I got pregnant, I stopped school to do what I needed to do as a mother. And then later on in my life, after I was a little bit more established, decided to continue my education and in fact finished a degree in information technology when I already had a teenager and 2 toddlers.
Yeah, but you kind of have to just adapt and learn, and try your best to fit in.
How important is it to you to keep your culture or identity?
Well, it's very important for me to keep my culture because it's kind of identify me who I am. Very important for me. That Nick will learn and embrace our culture, and kind of just give him also the identification of being a Filipino.
In the household, everything's the same. They speak Tagalog. They cook the same food. Growing up.
How about you, Dad?
I got my teeth straightened, so I'm good.
What were the hardest moments you had when I was growing up?
You in particular, it was hoping that I would do better as a parent. Because I knew when I had my first child, I did not have a lot of things, and now that I was a little bit more established, I hope that I had become a better parent. But it was just dividing my time between a teenager and 2 younger children, and then of course at the time I was going to school, just dedicating a lot of time. And I hate to say this, but a lot more parents were much more I guess ready when they had their own children. I stumbled at first, and then it was a learning experience for me. So the difficulty there is just, every single child is different. And I think in your situation, we actually went back to the Philippines, and then we came back here to the US, and having to start all over again was very difficult. But again, it's always with family and friends that help you. I guess just picking yourself up and doing what you needed to do again for your children. So I was very blessed to have friends that were able to help me get back on my feet after coming back again to the US after living in the Philippines for a couple more years, where I had 2 other children.
So Nick, did you ever feel embarrassed or ashamed of our culture growing up? Did you ever feel embarrassed,
Not
or
really.
did you?
Because grew up around like Brentwood, Concord area. Usually, it has a lot of Filipino people. Like the church we go to, there's a lot of Filipino people there. So, got to meet new.
Yeah. I volunteered him to participate whenever there's something going on at the church, like during May, the Santa Cruzan.
Yeah.
So I always volunteer him to be the escort of one of those girls. Right, Nick?
Yeah.
Sometimes, as in like, when I describe to other people like, oh, like what we eat or what things are called, just because sometimes when you compare it to more Western or American sounding things, it sounds kind of weird. Like for example, describing like, oh, we eat dinengguan, which is like pork blood. And I know Dad doesn't like that. You know what I mean? So like a lot of people are gonna think like, oh, that's like really weird. So growing up, it was kind of weird, but like now I'm more proud of it because it makes me feel a little different. Like I can eat pig's blood or like whole baby chickens out of an egg, and like you can't say nothing about it. That. So growing up, like I'm a lot more proud than when I was younger.
I guess being in college, I know that a lot of people have felt embarrassed with their culture, Filipino culture. I personally was never embarrassed. I think that for that reason, it's because we grew up in a very diverse community. I did grow up in the suburbs here in Dublin, but our school was pretty diverse, and majority of them were Asian. So we had a lot of Filipino people, and I feel like the schools really embraced a lot of the cultures, and I think that's a privilege that I have. But yeah, I don't think I've ever felt embarrassed necessarily. Especially, I think a big reason of that is like the color of my skin. We're not the brownest Filipinos ever, and I mean, when I was running cross country, I was. But the beauty standards, like here, people either kind of look down upon, dark-skinned people. But at the same time, like I would go to the Philippines and like I would be complimented with, my white skin. And then when I was dark there, like people now like to look a little darker and they would compliment my skin. So it's very interesting that you can be perceived by, like physical appearance. Yeah, exactly.
What is the difference that you see with our families and families of your friends?
I think a big difference is that I don't see you as like the traditional like Asian family. Like you were never a tiger mom. You definitely have like, your strict tendencies, both of you guys do. But in comparison to my other friends, they were either very relaxed, because I had friends of all different kinds of cultures. I had white friends who their parents didn't even care like what time they went out and what time they came back, and they did stuff. And I had friends who were like super strict, needed to know exactly where they were at all times, like grades needed to be straight A's. And I feel like that's why I was able to pursue my passions a lot more and like let me navigate my own life and my own interests. You never pushed me a certain major on me. You never pushed me to, school is not my favorite, so, and I think you knew that. So like, I don't think you definitely never pushed me. I knew you always wanted more for me, and I think that contributed to the factor of like me being comfortable telling you my experiences with academics and like my insecurities with grades and just everything about relationships and the things that I do and things that I like make mistakes on. So different in a good way. Yeah.
Very open to like letting our kids discover themselves without being strict on them. If that makes sense. Like
There's no limit.
You guys aren't limiting us in our potential or like finding who we are as people and just being very accepting of whatever path we choose in life. Whereas in like other cultures, especially like for a lot of other Filipino families, it's more strict, like the parents, you gotta follow everything that they do or that they want for you. So yeah, like our family is more allowing of independence and stuff.
Most of my friends are Filipino, or my dad's side is white and Chinese, so I do have like some white Chinese friends also. So usually it's always the same things. If I ever go to like their houses, they're usually doing the same exact things we're doing here. So yeah, not really many differences I can see.
What do you think are some issues that immigrants face that the government should focus on more or trying to solve, or society should be more aware of it?
So I'll talk about one thing. I say the government should focus, or like should try solving the path to citizenship, or like try making it easier, because right now I know it could be really hard for people, because I know some friends that like their parents still haven't gotten their citizenship yet, and they've been here for years or even decades. Like they still haven't gotten their citizenship.
Yeah.
And then you heard from my mom earlier that her citizenship it was a process, and that like if you didn't have one thing down or like one thing correct, like it was all for nothing, and you have to go through that whole process again, which could take another couple of years, another decade, so it could be hard. Like if they could somehow find a way to fix it, then yeah.
With all the sacrifices that you made, was it worth it, or what made it worth it?
I will always say my children makes it worth it. And you know that. My children they're my life. My only wish that they would always stay together, because I know how difficult it was for me to be separated from my siblings who I'm very close with, and not having that bond. And that support is going to be very difficult for an individual. Let's say if you are a single child, your friends, close friends, good friends, that will be there for you to support you. They're important. But when I decided to move here to the United States, because of the fact that I was going to be a single mom, and I would be more accepted, and I'd be able to manage and do things even at a young age, where in the Philippines I probably would have to be always dependent on my parents. It made me independent. It made me think. It made me strong. And even today, I think that way. I am who I am today because I made my family first.
It is worth it. With what's going on now in the Philippines, poor are becoming poorer, rich are becoming richer, and it looks like there's discrimination with that, and being here is really worth it, and I just love both of them. They're my countries. Philippines is my birthplace, but US is my second home now, since I have family here. And I'm proud of being a Filipino.
Me too. And I just want to say thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, my dear.
Because I honestly have never talked to you about any of this stuff, and it's kind of getting to learn everything about you, yeah.
Thank you for all the sacrifices that you made. I'm very happy with my life, and I'm very thankful to have you as my mother.
Yeah, I think it's worked out for the better, so I don't think I would change a thing. I think everything happens for a reason.
Thank you for watching this month's episode of Copo Talk. We'd love to give a special shout out to all the immigrant parents and families that continue to sacrifice so much for their loved ones. We wish you all the best of luck during this final season. Remember to like and comment anything you'd like to see from us in the future. As always, we post episodes every month. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.